Hi, my name is Ashley Leftwich, and I want to talk to you about feedback for students, and not only students, but also their families. So, how can you use technology to provide timely feedback to your students? I'm going to talk to you from the perspective of my students. I have 70 students, so for me, I have to be one, very organized with my feedback, but two, with that timely, because if not, it just falls in the abyss of, graded papers that they never get back. So, to do that or help me with that, I use Google Classroom One as my learning management system. So even if an assignment is not technically posted or something they did in Google Classroom, I still put their grade and their feedback on there because I also have my parents enrolled in their Google Classroom. Now, whether parents choose to engage in that or not, that's a different story. But this way, I can ensure that I'm giving them the information that they need, like, hey, your student messed up on or has misconceptions on um, adding a decimal and a zero to continue on dividing so that there's no remainder. Here's what you can do to help your student. This is so that I can, one, also use it as data if I ever need to do a referral for, say, special education testing or data for 504 for dyslexia to say, hey, this is how they're doing in math with their content. So it's really kind of a win-win-win type situation. Um, on top of that, I also use what's called Talking Points. It's an app for families, very similar to like Remind 101. But the way or the reason I like this is because it has a translator. So my family chooses what language they speak at home. Like last year, I had a family that spoke um, Taiwanese, and they were able to communicate with me that way, so much so that we even used it as a basically Google Translate during our conferences last fall, so that I could understand the parents, they could understand me. We're still having open conversations about where their student is. So that was really helpful, one, because then there's no language barrier to have to overcome anymore. I can't say, oh, well, I didn't call that family because they only speak Spanish. I can't talk to them. I have to communicate with him. And so that held me accountable as well. With talking points, one thing I really liked is that it allows for me to schedule announcements so I can go in and say, um, type it on a Monday that a reminder about something for Friday, and I can schedule them all out for the week. I don't have to worry about it. But on top of that, it also has a piece that connects to Google Classroom, so parents can access grades that way. Um, Now, don't get me wrong, it still has some, like, quirks and details to work out, but it's still really nice that it does have the option to integrate. Um, Another technology piece that we use as a district, um, so we use Skyward often, and Skyward does attendance and all of these things for the state, but then it also is our official grade book. With that, it has all of our family's information. That's how they enroll for school. And I have found options where I can email all of my parents and my students, which is nice so that every few weeks I can send progress reports sooner than if the grading period when it makes you, send home progress reports or report cards. So that's nice and helpful. On top of that, like it's accurate and graded, and it's something that I have to constantly update. And I can import my grades from Google Classroom and make that 10 times easier on myself as well. So all of these things to say um, is it's easy to fall into the abyss of providing feedback timely, especially when you have a lot of students. I've really, really had to time crunch and be very crucial with my minutes and my time management and organization to be able to provide that timely feedback. But then also, I've noticed with that, I'm able to catch misconceptions so much quicker with my students. And that way, we're not getting to a unit test and I'm like, oh, crap, my students didn't understand dividing decimals. I need to go back and reteach this entire unit. Like I'm able to catch it on earlier of, oh, hey, this is the step that they're struggling with, or hey, this is the group of students that's really struggling with it. Majority of the class is ready to go on to the next part, um, which is nice. It's nice not to be in this questioning of the zone of uncertainty for students and families. And I know from a parent's perspective as well, it's it's so nice to know exactly where your parents are, or not your parents, I'm sorry, where your students are, um, and your personal children as well. Like you want to know how they're performing and not just find out when you get a piece of paper in their binder with their progress report or their report card. So thanks so much for listening. I hope this is helpful. I tried to give you raw and real emotions and feedback for what I do for my students, and I hope you enjoy my podcast. Bye.